Hey everyone, welcome to SureFire Live. Hope you're doing well. My computer glitched right as we were going on, so thank you for joining us. You're joining us. We are going, and we're just starting this back up. So again, this is kind of a mostly an open conversation that I just want to talk to the industry, talk about what I know, and hear about what you know. It's just a overall education, easy. How I talk to most everybody is through comments. So please make them, and we can talk and we can learn from each other. Tonight, I'm going to have on one of my dear friends, Alan Rush. He's been around the industry a lot, and he's probably done more ride-alongs. I know he's done more ride-alongs with chimney companies than anybody in the industry, and therefore has learned just really what's happening in the industry, what works, what doesn't work. And we're all interested in making more money, whether you're going to make more money yourself by raising your prices, or you raise the level of competency of your technicians and yourself in the home. We all think that we can just talk and people will believe us and they will buy from us. And that's probably pretty true for you as the owner. But where it really falls down, that thought process falls down, is when you try to expand your team into your technicians. And then they don't have the same level of expertise. They don't have the same level of care. And things start to really unravel. And before you know it, it's happened to me, you have a company that doesn't really sell anything. They have all these opportunities that you have granted them, yet they don't have the skills necessary to bring that across. So I'm going to bring that up. I'm going to bring Alan on. We're going to talk about that and then a couple other things. But I see a few people gathering, and I always appreciate that. Also, let me know what you guys want to talk about. I'm mostly a business talking kind of guy. I can get technical if you need to. I was a long time in the truck, and I've also been part of the team that wrote the manual for CSIA, and I've been around it my whole life. So I can definitely talk technical, but my challenge is to bring you from technical to business owner, and that's a whole different language a lot of times. So we've got a nice little crowd starting to gather here, so it's fantastic. So with that, I'm going to bring Alan on. Mr. Alan Rush, how are you tonight?
Mr. Stoner, I'm tired, man.
Are you?
Yeah, my body's still on Europe time. We 27 hours of traveling yesterday, and
wow,
yeah,
27, that's a tough day.
It's a long day. 9 hours of layovers, 3 flights, a 9-hour flight, a couple 4-hour flights. Yeah, it was but man, what a blessing to be.
And where did you go?
Man, we hit the Danube. So we started, flew into Austria, then went to Romania, did a bunch of cool stuff there, like Dracula's castle, and then we took the boat down to Bulgaria, over to Serbia, into Croatia, and then we ended in Hungary. So
what an amazing trip.
Yeah, very, very cool. If you ever get a chance to do a river cruise, man, it's I'm hooked.
I want to do that bad. It looks so cool.
I am hooked on them. After doing ocean cruises, nothing like it. Less than 200 people on the boat. You get to know everybody. Stop in little towns you'd never get to see. So yeah, well worth it. But now I'm paying the price. My body thinks it's like 2 a.m. right now.
Yeah. I tell you, it's not as hard for me to come back from Europe to here than it was for me to go to there. I'm like wanting to sleep at 2 p.m. My wife's like, you got to stay up. And I'm like, man, I got to go to sleep for a little bit. And you're just totally off. I have a hard time going that way. But you had a funny story about what Prost means when you do cheers.
Yeah, man. I thought I was culturally astute, because, we do the Spazzacamini. And then, last year I went to Germany, and especially in Cologne, Germany, they have their beer there that I forgot the name of it. It's a special kind of beer in Cologne. And we learned very quickly that when you cheers someone in Germany, you say Prost, right? And the cool thing is, in Germany, they're smart. You cheers the bottom of the glass, right? Not you don't do the top.
Don't chip the glass.
Yeah, don't chip it. So you Prost. And so when we got into Austria, which is a very heavily German speaking, and then we flew directly into Romania, and so we met this couple immediately in Romania, and we had a drink and a Prost, right? And got the look of death. Like, it's like, what? It's like, why you call me dumbass? And I was like, what? pro is you silly man, you dumbass. And I was
Oh
like,
no.
oh no, cheers, salute. And then they have a whole nother word for it. So I guess you really need to know what language the other person speaks before you put your foot in your mouth. But yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. That my comment was, I like them both. Cheers, dumbass.
Yeah.
Anyway, dude, that's awesome. Well, I love traveling over there. I think, a lot of travel is good for us. I think it opens your eyes, and also it helps me understand that I want to build a business so I can do more of that, right? I want to do, and then I also want to build a business so I can bring other people with me. I want to bring friends, and but I want to bring family, but I want to bring employees, and I want to do things that, if it's up to me to build a business, I want to build the best business I can with all the energy I can to bring as many people with me as I can.
Amen.
I mean, it's not about, making my life great. I remember, I've told the story a million times that I remember driving up to my company and, back in the day, back in 2000, I think 3 or 4, and had nothing but beater cars out there, and it was rough. And I was driving a beater car, and I looked at it and I said, man, what have I done? I've worked a long time in this business, yet everybody's broke, including me. Like, this is my fault. I'm not growing this company correctly. I've got to change something. And, that was 20 years ago now, but, in that process, and it won't take people that long, is, a real self-reflection of things I've put in place, things I haven't done, beliefs I have that have to change. And I just knew that I needed to get help, and not help in the business way, hopefully not mental help, but but if you need that, you need it. But, I needed to be around people that knew how to grow businesses so I could have a business that people were making money so I could make money, and we were a team growing. And that was always exciting for me. And I think that a lot of the things that you teach in business, and how you teach to grow companies, you got your haters out there that go, I don't have to sell anything. And, you've talked about that a lot, but talk about the best practices. You've been with so many owners and so many technicians, and you've seen the good, the bad, the ugly. Talk about what the not growing companies do, and talk about what the best growing companies do, if you don't mind.
Sure. Well, it's funny, ever since I heard you tell that car story, that, and then also the job fair on the lake, and all those kind of stories. It is a metric that I actually ask companies or owners now. I said, "Are you proud of the vehicles in your parking lot? Are you proud?"
Oh, wow.
Are you
That's
proud of
the gauge?
Yeah, I mean, it's just in your face. Are you proud of the homes that your employees live in? And because it's just a reminder of your why, right? And not everybody's why is their people, believe it or not. And those are usually the people that are probably not going to the level that they should. And so it's hard for me to talk a lot about the people that are not growing, because the companies that hire me are the ones that want to grow, right? And so they're looking to really get to a level where the company will run efficiently without them, or that they can get past those glass ceilings that they've hit. So, but I can tell you, and I've talked a lot with you and everyone about sales for that's 15 years now. We've been talking about this, but the key really is to remember that nobody wants anything that you sell, right? And I think that's the hardest thing. I've talked about it probably a million times. I think it is literally, if you take the number one thing, it is getting out of that technical mindset of saying, I found the problem. You called me because you had a problem, or you wanted to know if you had a problem. I found it. Thank goodness you called me, because I can fix it. Here's what you need to do. And here's the products and how much it costs to do. And that's just the way this industry, is 40, 50 years.
If you don't know any different, that sounds exactly right. What you just said sounds 100% like what we're supposed to do.
And it's the exact opposite. Right. And it's the exact opposite is what you should do. And so most of the people that I hire, that hire me, that's what they do. They go in, they do a fantastic inspection. They fill out a fantastic inspection report. They review that report. Here's all the good. Here's all the bad. And now here's all the bad things that we're going to fix for you. Here's our estimate and our proposal. And do you want to do it? And that is literally the method that this company or this industry has done for so long. And probably still, 80% of the people are out there still using that model. And the sooner you realize that no one wants to buy the things that you're proposing, outside of, there's hearth examples and, there's certainly nuances to it. But for the most part, no one wants your crown repair, your flash repair, your water repellent, your cap. Nobody, they don't want birds, right? They don't want water intrusion. They don't want water in their home. They want to feel good when they light a fire. They want to get heat. They want these things. And so the idea, everything I teach is permission-based selling, right? So I never propose, and this is controversial. I'm not saying I'm the right way here, but it obviously is working with the companies I work with, is that no one will ever get a proposal from me unless they tell me they want it, right? There's this mindset of, oh, if you found it, you gotta propose it. Certainly you got to do paperwork and say they declined recommendations, things like that. But at this point, here's the problem. Here's what this problem means to you. Here's the negatives, right? What happens if we don't address that problem? Would you like me to put together something to stop water from getting in? Would you like to would you like to be able to feel good when you have a fire, knowing that byproducts are not going to areas we don't want them to? And then it's like 99 out of 100. Who's going to say no? I wouldn't at least like to see what that looks like, right? And then once the customer tells you, this is what I would like, it's now their idea, right? It's very hard. Like, as people, we want to push back on people that tell us to do something. Like, your first reaction is to object. It's to, let me think about it. Let me talk to the wife. Let me do all these things. But when it's your idea and you tell me, yeah, let me see what that would look like. Very difficult to argue with your own idea. And so at the end of the day, I tell people, I don't care if you sell or you don't. As long as the customer has a clear understanding of what happens if they choose not to move forward with the recommendations and they're okay with that, you've done your job. We're not here to sell anybody. We're here to simply educate, make sure that we can solve problems for them that they want solved.
Right. I mean, there is a method to sales, though. There is a method to communicating the right way to a customer. We've talked about this a lot too, but the jargon that we use, it needs a stainless steel liner. Your crown is messed up. You've got a chase cover that needs to be fixed. You've got a smoke chamber. We got to fix the smoke chamber. They don't know what those words mean. And I can't say it enough to my technicians whenever I hear them saying those words. They don't know, you didn't know those words before you got in the industry. Nobody knew these words. And, a perfect example of it, recently I took one of our guys sailing and we were out on the sailboat and Jonah was like, and Andy, the two chimney guys were out there sailing and we were using sailing language, the jib sail, the sheets, all the starboard, the port, all of the language. And, they said, God, I don't even know what you guys are talking about. And you guys are just talking like it's just a fact. And we're like, I said, that is chimneys. That is how we talk around customers, around chimneys all the time. We're talking like you're on a sailboat. They don't even know what you're talking about. And then they don't want to seem stupid. You're like, you see what I mean? They're like, oh yeah, of course I do. Well, but they don't understand.
Yeah.
And I always like your big three, and you kind of mentioned it just now, but the one thing that you didn't say was, how did it happen? And what happens if I do nothing? You started down that road, but do you mind I think it's just gold at how you do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally, we call it the big three. And it's every time you find an issue, it's the three things that you have to do. And technicians are great at doing number one and sometimes number two. They rarely do number three. And number one is just simply, what is this thing and what does it do, right?
Yeah.
So if you say a technical word like a smoke chamber, UMS immediately, that's the thing. But what is it? What does it do? The thing, this is designed to take all the byproducts from the size of your firebox to the size of the flue as an efficient manner as possible. It's designed to be an upside down funnel that, transfers heat and byproducts, all that kind of thing, right? That's always number one. The crown, it's the first line of defense against water from getting in. It holds the chimney together at the top. What is it, right? Number two is what happened, right? Why is this smoke chamber bad? Well, you know what? Before X time, this is the way they built them, right? Before they knew that heat transferred through brick like crazy and led to pyrolyzation, which is, in explaining what that is, the lowering of combustion or the temperature of combustion. And eventually we found out that, byproducts could get into areas that we couldn't access, and those would, cause issues. So what happened to it? The crown cracked because there wasn't an expansion joint or freeze thaw, whatever it is, right? And then most important, and this is the thing that everybody forgets, especially when they're doing their proposal, is what happens if we choose not to address this issue?
Right.
If I say, yeah, show me a number. You choose not to go forward with that number. What happens, right? What's the impact of not moving forward? And so whether that is more water, potential water into the home, mold, mildew, more deterioration, freeze thaw damage, tuck pointing to a rebuild, potential, pyrolization that could lead to a chimney fire, gaps in the flue tile that could lead to, basically, we know all the things, but the customer doesn't. So that every time you have an issue, do those three things, and at a bare minimum, you're going to not talk a language they don't understand, and you're hopefully going to give them their why. It's like follow-up calls. I've been on a rant about follow-up calls for the last couple of months with my weekly clients, and they're so bad at it, right? They call and they talk about the thing again. Hey, what did we decide to do with that smoke chamber? Did we decide to move forward with this proposal? Did we want to get that crown taken care of? And it is such a horrible conversation, right?
The answer is almost always no. I'll wait.
Yeah. Well, hey, as Alan, Rush probably just calling just to see if you had any questions. Dude, I'd called you if I did. I just wanted to see if you, something we want to do. I'd have called you if I did. It's kind of like it's such a ridiculous call. And so we have to remind them of why they called us or what they wanted to see, right? This is hey, just notice we haven't taken care of that water issue yet. We're getting closer and closer to the time where that will freeze thaw is going to make that worse. Is this something we're ready to take care of, right? All those kind of things. What did we decide to do? Using that we language. How did we decide? Did we want to use our fireplace this fall? To do the takeaway, right? What happens if they don't do it? Not do you want to do the thing, right? And so it's just amazing to me. Such simple little reversal of what we normally do will mean everything when it comes to close rates. So,
and like that follows along with solution-based proposals, where you're not product-based proposals. The stainless steel this, the copper that, or the crown this. It's the water leak package this. This is how we stop the water from getting in. It's clearly getting in. These cracks didn't happen for no reason. They're the smallest there ever be right now. This is not showing up. Your favorite thing was yet, but it will. It has to go somewhere, right? Would you agree? Like the permission-based and then the solution-based sales. Can you talk a bit about how you deliver solutions with the product or with the estimate?
Yeah, it's probably the number one thing that when I first work with the company, it's almost the first thing we do is we redo their price book. Because most of the time their proposals are crown repair, $800, flash repair, $1,200, water repellent, blah, blah, blah. And then they explain what those are, as an elastomeric rubber membrane that coats the crown. And you're like, what the hell? And so what I always encourage everybody, like you just said, whether it's a water package, is we are going to fix and prevent water from intruding to the top of your chimney for the next 10 minutes or the next 10 years.
Yeah. Taillight warranty.
I used to be for the next. I told you I'm on like 30 hours of wait.
Fix it for the next 10 minutes.
I mean, they don't care what the product is.
Yeah,
right?
They don't.
All they want you to do is fix that crack and make sure water doesn't come in. They don't care if it's this A, B, and C. And so when you highlight the product, all you're doing is commoditizing product for price. And whenever especially if you give the brand name, oh my gosh, what's the first thing you do whenever you get a brand name on a proposal?
Check Amazon, check the website. Yeah.
Or let me call someone else. How much do you charge for this product, right? And so we just set ourselves up to get I mean, if you're telling me you're getting price objections, spouse objections, email that to me. Let me think about it. It's almost always self-induced, right? It's always because you're making them, giving them a proposal for a bunch of stuff. They don't even know what it is. And they just don't know if they're making a good decision. But it's very easy to make a good decision of, yes, I don't want water, right? I want to use my fireplace. Let's narrow it down to the common denominator of what the customer wants, not all of our crap that we have in the chimney industry. So that's almost always the first thing that I do when I work with a company is look at their proposals, look at their reports, look at what they email the customer. I always say, like, if you spent 2 hours with the wife, what did you email that the husband's going to open up? And when he looks at it for the first thing, is he going to understand the problems you found, why they need to do this? Or is he going to open up and see a bunch of stuff that adds up to $12,000 and he's going to say, forget it?
Yeah. I mean, if you think we're wrong, try emailing unless your wife works in the business, email a proposal of yours to your wife and have her tell you what it means. email one to your daughter or your son, and have them explain to you, unless they work in the business, what you just sent them. And that's what, whoever the spouse isn't there, that's what they're getting. They're getting this list of things they had no idea they need with big numbers on the side. It's easy just to say, no, it was fine before those guys got here, and it's going to be fine when they leave. And so therefore, unless they call for a known problem, and then they know they've got to fix it. But the majority of our estimates, a lot of them come obviously from inspection or, something like that. And then you have this list of problems and they're like, I was good before, I'm still going to be good. Especially most men are a little bit more like, it's going to be fine. The women tend to worry more about home safety. But try emailing one of your bids to, your sister or somebody like that. So what do you think this is? And they will not have any idea what you just said. So I think it's a realization that we come from a technical mindset. We think everybody understands technical mindset, and therefore that's the only way to talk to them. And I remember, one of my technicians one time, he would be 2 hours in the house, and he said, Mark, by the time I leave the house, I want to make sure they know everything about chimneys that I know. I'm like, oh, hell no. Why would you do that to somebody? You need to know what they want to know, and you're the expert. The story branding thing. You're the guide. You are the guy that makes sure, here's the problem. This is what it is. Would you like me to fix this for you or give you an idea? We fix this all the time. Would you like me to propose, give you a solution for this?
Yeah.
And, and when they say yes, you're already on a better foot. You do the if you do the invoice, and then you've got an invoice or estimate right there waiting. You remember all those things I saw? Here it is, $10,000.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want that, and everybody's faced that. Like, don't even leave that here. Yeah. Don't leave that with me. I don't want any of that.
That's right. Yeah. And I was telling you, we just had our SureFire meeting. My mom is downsizing since my dad passed, and so we're going actually this weekend to help her move. And as of course, move into a house, I saw the pictures. Hey, there's a masonry chimney, let's go. And this is one of the things the home inspector said it was fine, right? And so I was like, oh, hell no. So I go to the CSIA, and there's not one certified company within 90 miles an hour, 2 hours. So I'm like, what the heck? So I find a company just through Google, had decent ratings, been in business for 40 years, and scheduled that they could be there the next day. That should, that was, I was like, it's June, okay, but they could be there the next day, and then they did a partial old Copperfield, printed paperwork. You have the classic view of the chimney with the check boxes, and nothing electronic. And then on that same page, they marked all the good. They didn't even fill out all the check marks. They just and then they just put Crown 1500. That was it. That was the proposal on the inspection report, Crown 1500. And so no pictures, nothing. And so I called the company. 3 days later, they called me back. And there was a woman in the office. Hey, got your message. And yeah, I was like, hey, I didn't see any pictures. Oh, well, could you tell me the condition of the flue? And, what could you send me we didn't run a camera. I was like, this is a level 2 inspection. Well, we don't do, 40 years, we've never ran a camera. It's like, oh my gosh. And I said, well, could you tell me, because I didn't see any notes on the flashing. And it's like, I'll have to have the technician call you. I said, great. So 2 days later, by this time, my mother's already passed her due diligence period, right? So we just have a Crown for $1,500. And so I talked to the guy, and he's like, oh yeah, he's like, no, the smoke chamber was unparged, but it was a bit-free gas log, so that's not a problem. And then we didn't run a camera. We don't, but 2, we don't do it with bit-free. I was like, this was a level 2 inspection, right? It doesn't matter what's, So we went through the whole thing. And I was like, the flashing was definitely, it was pulling out. When we'd step on it, like we saw the flashing, I was like, that would have been great to notate, put on a proposal. Smoke chamber technically should still be parched, at least put all the things on the proposal that you found. It's like, well, the realtor didn't. It's like, the realtor's not, it was this whole thing. And so, and this was, it's probably come across as an asshole on my part, maybe arrogance or whatever. But I said, have you ever heard of Alan Rush Profits, sales training, chimney, SureFire training? And he was like, no. He's like, okay. I was like, have you heard of CSIA? It's like, yeah, I know the CSI. So Jim Brewer, Mark Stoner? No, don't know those. And I was like, you've been in business for 40 years. And it was at that moment that it was just like, okay, there is so much of this industry that is like the bar. Oh my gosh, the bar is so low. So just the people that are doing even half of the things that we teach are going to just destroy this industry in a good way. So, and there's just, it is sad really, because I mean, it's such a disservice to both the company and their people and what they could be making and the lives, and plus the potential disservice and litigation and fires and all these things that could happen on 40 years of work. So it was kind of a humbling kind of thing to realize that, this is still what a lot of the industry is doing. And
probably at least half the industry is not into education, or we talk about things that we think we know about. And the more educated your company gets, if you're going against other companies that aren't educated, they think you're ripping everybody off.
Exactly right.
Their default is, oh, I don't want to learn what these guys are talking about. I already know it. And they're ripping you off. They will take your codes and say, it doesn't matter. They will take your report and say, this is way too much money, without ever investing $1 in education, any training. They're not curious enough to really understand. They don't know. And the majority of people, including myself, I've been in the business 17 years before I found my first convention. Yeah. And when I found the convention, I saw all these people talking about stuff I didn't know about. I remember seeing Jim Brewer and Steve Blackburn and John Meredith and Steve Pial and all these guys talking, Jerry Eisenhower. I'm like, wow, holy cow, I don't know what I'm talking about. I thought I did, and I know nothing.
Yeah.
I would hope that people maybe watch this on a maybe live, but also, on the side, and they can understand that staying curious, staying teachable, never come to the point that you already know everything. Get with the people who really have built this thing, and you will go a lot faster and grow your business. But yeah, we talked about that, and there's still probably the majority. I've got a guy in town here one time. He completely messed up a thing, and he didn't. Everything I talked about was foreign to him. He wasn't mean or anything. He just didn't think any of that was important. I'm like, well, you can't make up these rules.
Right.
If you're sued or you're got something going against you, your judgment is not code. That doesn't work that way. Ignorance is not a defense. Got to know what the heck you're talking about.
Well, and I'm sure you remember this conversation. I was so flabbergasted and frustrated. We were at the convention this year, and there was a guy that has been in business for 40 years, and he flat out just disagrees that missing mortar and a flue tile is a problem. Right.
Oh, God. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I see it every day. He's like, all these companies scamming people, telling them they need to resurface, they need liners. It's not a problem. He's like, it's 40 years. It's not a problem. And I was like, what do you mean? And I'm going through all the straw, the byproducts. It's not a problem. And I'm like, Mark, I was like, hey, listen to what he's saying. And then I was like, Brewer. And everybody's like, you're so wrong. He's like, no. He's like, I've never had a lawsuit one. I've never had a fire one. I was like, yet. Right. Holy crap. These are certified, supposedly educated attending conventions. Right. And then they're talking trash about the people that are doing it, right? As if we are the scam artists that say they need these things. When you're eating yourself from within, oh my gosh, absolutely crazy. So
yeah, I mean, he was an 70-plus-year-old guy.
Yeah,
has a pretty decent sized business, but teaches all his people that thing, even though the code says it, doesn't matter. And he's like, and if there was ever a death, and I'm not an attorney, but I do know that if you actually go against something and it causes a death, negligence can be served. You can become negligent in that when you taught this, it caused death. They can come through your corporate veil. You can be a corporation all you want, but they can come to you personally. Yeah. If you make these judgment calls and and there's a code that says this and that, but you decided that,
Yeah.
What's your defense if something bad? You have no defense.
Right.
Like right now, I can sleep well because my guys are certified. We've taught it to the way we do it. We all take SureFire and train on SureFire inside and out with Jim Brewer's methods. We have insurances, but the insurance will still bring that code book back up. Did you do this? Did you do that to cover you? Like, and if there's a death, then now you've got a whole nother world of problems. So to me, I can sleep well at night, super training my techs, certifying, and making sure I always go the right level when if we have to make judgment calls every day, right? But you better be on the right side of what the judgment call is, using the codes and the standards as your standard of care for what you're spreading in the world and teaching your employees what's right.
Well, and it's amazing still how many people don't have customers sign inspection reports. I mean, like when I work with company, it blows my mind. I was like, you're assuming all liability at that point. And the language I actually use with customers is when I got here, I brought all the liability was on me, right? I have now put all of this into a documentation. I've relayed that information to you, and I am passing that liability back onto you with your signature. Whether you choose to do something or not, I've informed you of the deficiencies, the dangers, and why we recommend you don't use it until the repairs are made. And, and if, the 1 out of 100 that says, I'm not signing that, fine, customer decline to sign. But when you literally say, I am now passing this liability back to you, and you do that right before you give them a solution to resolve that liability, it's this mind kind of like, oh crap, like this is serious. I need to do this. Right. And so
now, failure to warn, you must warn them. And then they, unfortunately, they know, and they have to disclose that if they ever sell the house.
Yeah.
So there's a definite handoff there. And yeah, they might not sign it. They may not want it. You write customer decline the sale or decline the information. You can't force them to have it. You can get it off your shoulders. That's a great point.
Yeah, and one thing on that, I think a lot of people are learning this, or not learning it, but they're adopting this. Is we've kind of, I'd say, if I'm guessing, making up a number, half my clients now don't differentiate between a sweep and an inspection, right? It's kind of it's the same, right? That it keeps you from that customer that just wants the sweep, right? So, I don't want an inspection. I just want to, well, we don't, we only do inspections if it needs swept. It's an included part of our service, that kind of thing. And so when you do that, it keeps that from being as much of an issue, right?
Yeah. We stopped doing that too. It's one price. You're going to get the inspection. We're going to include the sweep if you need it. Sometimes you don't need it, but the inspection is the most important thing that we do. And that's really what you want done. You want to make sure you're calling me because you want to make sure you can use the fireplace. Sometimes that includes the sweep, but really includes the inspection, which is the main thing. And you're going to, and if they don't have to sweep, and the guys, this is our policy, but if they do, like, it's completely clean, there's nothing to do, they can throw a little discount on there, and then you're the hero. Right. Versus adding money to it. Well, we got to sweep it now, and it's this much more. Like, you just take that away from them. You can be the hero so easy.
Sure. And I got people, and I don't hate if you want to charge a difference and you get there and it doesn't need a sweep and you say, hey, I can save you some money today. I mean, I don't hate it. Right. Yeah. But it just keeps the tire kickers that are trying to compare, this is just the service that we offer. So, but yeah. So I can see people that are logged in our comments. I don't know if anybody's had anything to say. Feel free.
I was going to say that, please ask questions. I don't see any comments coming in yet, and I've got them where they come up on the screen now. I can see them too. But Alan is a wealth of knowledge. He is, again, he's seen it all. He's seen all the objections. He's seen every person. If you are getting a constant objection, throw it at Alan. Ask him how to handle any objection. He's seen them a million times, and he can tell you how to handle it in the way he does. Now, he will say, though, if you're getting the same objection, you're setting up the objection early on. When you talk to a customer, when you're doing your routine, you're actually, if you're getting the same one, you're setting up that objection. If it's a price objection, you're always getting. If it's a need objection, hopefully it's not a trust objection. But, if they're always wanting to, yeah, I got you, email that to me. If that's what you're always getting, you're setting that whole thing up. And I know we're probably halfway through our talk, and I know we have some other things to go to. But, guys, ask questions of him while he's here. He's a very extremely busy sales guy. Let's just talk about, can people hire you? Or are you full? Like, where are you on that world?
So yes, you can hire me. I wouldn't be able to get on site to you personally this year, and maybe not next year. I mean, it just depends on the renewals. But our company's grown. I've got some of you guys know Kevin Rogers. He runs our AI division with Rilla, and he also has been doing a lot of weekly sales meetings and L10s and role-playing sessions with people virtually through Zoom every week, and just basically working on objection handling, working on those things. So we have all those services available. Kevin is starting to get on site as well. He's got 2 or 3 clients now that he's doing ride-alongs. Certainly from a sales standpoint, he knows as much as I do when it comes to the sales process. He's still learning chimneys, like, it takes, he's been in for 3 years. So, he's still learning the chimney side of it. So yes, I mean, if you're struggling, if your close rates aren't where you want to be, your follow-up sucks, your average sell, all that stuff, your presentations, if you want me to look at your collateral, your marketing material, your sales material, I can certainly do that. I do have virtual time. On-site time, I've booked, and 2, I've made a conscious choice to try to travel about 30 to 50 days less this year. So I'm shooting for about 200 days this year instead of 250, which is it's progress. It's progress. But yeah, the literally our biggest expanding program is still with Rilla and our AI. If you can imagine what it would be like to literally have every single customer and technician conversation documented and immediately commented on and coached on. So, we talked about it. It's not a Rilla pitch, but the idea is, almost every company has some sort of sales training, right? You have a weekly meeting, a morning meeting, and you watch SureFire, you watch some of my stuff, and you teach your guys. They go out into the world and they do their thing, and then you really don't know anything else about it until you get the result, right? Did they win? Did they lose? What happened? And so what we've done is given visibility to the game, right? From the time they walk in the door to the time they leave, we know everything that was said on both sides. And when we first started, the AI was rough. I mean, I would say it was 50-50 at best. And I would say it's probably 85-90 now to the good, where it will literally analyze against the sales process. We're at almost 200,000 now. 200,000
virtual ride-alongs you've lived to, analyzed, coached on.
And that the AI it's getting to the point now where it almost anticipates, and so where we can see, if the same technicians have it, like you just mentioned, objection prevention, if we're constantly getting the same thing, it's starting to make those recommendations that, hey, you need to do this earlier in the process, or hey, don't forget to ask this question, or don't forget to say this thing. And then of course now we have a team, I guess it's 3, maybe we'll count part-time 4 people that are going through and actually manually going through all the calls and picking up the things that the AI doesn't get, to continue to train it. And
nice.
And then we give Kevin all that data every week, and he does role play on all the things that the technicians are struggling on. So that is a very simple program to get started if you want to kind of start light and then move up to more on-site stuff.
And basically, if those of you who don't know it, it's an app that listens and then records, and then it goes from there. But it's your technician basically turns it on, or sometimes your CRM notifies them to turn on to start the appointment. And it just rolls on, and it just listens. And then he's done 200,000, so they've trained it to know, the best practices of what to do, what not to do, how to coach the person up. And I can tell you, when you first start listening to your technicians talk, it's painful. I mean, it feels like a gut punch sometimes when you listen to them talk, or what they don't talk about, or what they do talk about. Like it can be sickening and frustrating, and I'm sure you've witnessed a lot of that.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Like, we actually have shouldn't say this, we have like an internal gag reel, that's like, oh my God, like the guy was like, this is a true story. Like 2 weeks ago, the newer guy, he goes through the sales process, he presents, and I was like, would you like to move forward? Which, we never want to ask a close-ended question like that. But the guy was like, yeah, let's do it. And he goes, really? Like, are you sure? And we were like,
I got one.
And then we had, another one where the guy closed the deal. Great job. And then he goes, hold on. He goes, I still haven't told you about our financing. And I'm like, you just closed the deal and now you cost the company 7%, and so it's little things, that are like that. But the biggest
time, one of my technicians was like selling a customer, about it. And he's like, he talked about finance. He goes, this guy was rich. Like he was living in a mansion. He goes, this will help build your credit, What?
Okay. Yeah.
Like,
I think the two biggest things that we've been dealing with the real is, number one is getting technician buy-in, right? No one wants to be micromanaged or recorded or feel like they're being babysat. But the reality is, once you get past that first couple of weeks, it becomes an addiction, and the guys are logging in, looking for the feedback, looking what the guys that want to sell 2, 3, 4 million, they're the ones that are really into it. And then so that's probably the biggest thing. And then just getting the owners to hold their team accountable to actually using it, because I would say 25% of the people that originally bought this used it for a month, and their guys like, whatever, and then they paid all this money for licenses and they didn't even use it. So I'm very upfront now before anybody signs up that these are the things that your technicians are going to say, these are the hurdles you're going to have, and this is the commitment you're making. And if you're ready, let's go. But I don't want you to do it just to do the new thing.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I'm going to switch gears a little bit. I'm still not getting questions. You just are so amazing that you're asking.
There's nobody here, is there?
This is
space time. It's just you and I.
It's just okay. Just me and you talking. So let's switch gears. And I've talked about for the last couple of weeks about what's happening in the industry, the biggest news, the craziest news, the private equity and the buyers and the brokers, and all of a sudden chimney guys and chimney companies are super excited. Everybody's being called about it. Everybody's talking about it. I remember about a year ago, I went to an event about this. I knew it was coming to the industry. I've been talking to people. I said, look, this is coming for sure. I don't know when, but it was already happening in Europe. It was happening in other things. They're going to find us for sure. And at one point they're coming. And man, as soon as they hit, a bunch of them hit. It's like, it's like the dinner bell rang on the chimney industry. And, I'm working with Village Partners Group, and so are you. But let's just talk about what you've seen out there, the companies, what they're being talked about, and what you've seen matters. Like, what's the language, and what do you think about what's happening to us?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's amazing, right? Whoever thought chimneys would be on the radar of PE and acquisition. And I mean, there's probably not a company that I'm working with that is not at least having that conversation, whether or not they're actually looking to exit or looking to be acquired, as much as just understanding how to understand the value of their company from a level they've never looked at it before. I kind of joke, you helped me with my company name, Rush Profits. And I've always I don't care what your revenue is. I want to, what's the bottom line, right? And now it's like, I need to have a little DBA as Rush EBITDA, right? Like, it's like, that's the key, right? Is like, you can have great net profit, but if you don't have all these other things in place. And so that's kind of where it's going, right? There are, I don't know how much I can say, but there's at least 3 or 4 of my clients that have already closed with private equity and received insane multiples, insane upfront money, insane, when targets are hit, we've had most of these people are staying on with the company. They're continuing to run it as always. They've just got a nice cash infusion and now a full team behind them. So you and I are working with VPG and the Chimney Collective, which is, I think, is certainly appears to be a front runner. And I think there's probably 3, I would say, what I would call really major players, but I've heard as many as 6 or 7 that are in here. The one thing that I always get the call is, hey, Alan, I got this call, or I got this mailer, or I got this email. Is this legit? Right. That's always like, I don't want to sell my business. I don't want to give up. I was like, you don't have to. Right. I mean, this is literally, so whatever you want it to be is what it'll be. And so certainly with the invent of AI, with, white collar is going to continue to struggle. Tech is going to continue to struggle, even though it's the, 9 of the top 10 stock market right now. AI is going to dominate that. And so all the big blue collar, HVAC and Tommy and garage doors and electrical and plumbing, all that's been kind of, I saw a very cool infographic. See if I actually have it right here. It was absolutely mind-boggling to me.
Was it the one with all the HVAC companies wrapped up in a circle?
Yes.
I've seen that.
This is probably won't work with my green screen, but this is like all the different PE companies in these little sectors and what companies they have acquired. And then there was another one that they did for roofing that is very similar, right? 200. And so it'll be really interesting in the next year to 2 years to see what that circle looks like in chimneys. I know of roughly 10 acquisitions so far. I probably have, again, obviously a lot of things that can't be said, but there's, multiple of my clients that are in some process of either looking at a number, going through due diligence, going through the idea, whether, again, when you go through this, it's not like you have to do anything. It's just understanding the value of your company now and what is the roadmap to get to wherever you want that to be, right? Yeah. Whether that's an exit or an acquisition or whatever. And so, I mean, it kind of is a pretty decent segue to what we're trying to do with Build to Sell. And that's just take all this confusion and all this, people are just terrified, scared, think it's scammy, think it's like, oh, that's not for me. I don't want to sell my business. And so we're taking all that clutter and confusion and do what we do at SureFire and try to make it an education that's digestible. And so we created this 10-month program that's kicking off in August called Build to Sell. And there's the website, SureFireB2S.com. And, we've brought in like Village Partners Group as just one example, but there's multiple. We're bringing in Eleanor again, financial expert, built multiple businesses, sold businesses, $100 million companies. We're bringing in Catherine Elizabeth, who took our company from 30 to 120 million before she exited. We're bringing in Dan Antonelli, which I think at least 20 or 30 chimney companies have rebranded through him, or at least had him do marketing for them. We're bringing in, Anthony Valerio. I mean, he is a guy that, he is, I won't give his revenue, let him share that, but what he's done in the last 5 years is beyond anything that anybody's ever done in our
fastest growing chimney company ever, I think, And so the speed that he has built it is worth hearing how he did it. If you want to build a company, it's not like, especially for Anthony, he was just a good student and a good implementer. It wasn't that he had any kind of genius stroke or moment or anything. It was leadership.
Well, pardon me. And then,
that was, you got lucky.
1 out of 100.
He went to a lot of my classes, so we could just claim him as ours. But again, we're going to have people that evaluate businesses. We're going to have people who tell you how to get ready. We're going to have people that have bought and sold businesses. So you'll understand the whole language. I was going to say before that I went to an event about 1.5 years ago that was like this, but for any industry. And they had brokers there. They had buyers. They had private equity firms. They had lawyers. They had people who've bought, people who've sold, the individuals, and people were offering their specific services to help you. And we took that idea for SureFire and said, we know the people that are doing this. We know what we know about it. I've gone through it. Anthony's going through it. There's these things that are happening that you need to know. Some of it I wish I would have known before. There's several people that got an offer from the private equity, but it wasn't enough. They didn't have their business ready to get the money they want. So they know what to do now, how to do it, how to position themselves to do it. So The number one thing is this is not a scam. The number two thing, I think there's a window of time for this. I think in the next 5 to 8 years is a window that this is going to be shining on us. And I'm not saying it will necessarily go away, but we won't be so hot. Once they've gone through all the companies and really got the fast movers, they probably, and this is my opinion, they will probably look to something else that's ready for acquisition, and if they invest in it, can grow a bunch. But you're going to see some chimney companies in the next couple of years grow super rapidly. Yep. Because a lot of the factors are, your team behind you, your cash flow. You kind of know what to do to grow if you had more of this. If I had more expertise in sales, if I had more money, if I had better marketing, if I had better hiring techniques. Well, the private equity and the people who are going through this are going to have that in the back office ready to go. And it's already working in other things. So it's going to happen in chimneys. Also, these companies are going to have better buying. No matter what you do, when HVAC competes against somebody in private equity, they're buying it at cheaper than you can by yourself. And so you're fighting a battle that's almost invisible. You don't know why. Sometimes you can't buy the stuff as cheap. You can't buy it for as cheap as they're installing it sometimes. And they're making good money, and you're like just surviving. So there's a hidden game in this world that you need to understand the language, what time it is, what the temperature is, and how to position yourself, or at least understand what you're trying to build a business that has value. Now, let me just say this. If you love being a technician and you just love doing the work, this isn't for you. This is probably not, all the words that we're saying is just not interesting. You want to know technical work, liners, and how to do the best firebox rebuild, and how to build the chimney the best, and how to sweep the chimney the best, and do a really great inspection. If that is your jam, that's awesome, because that's all needed, and it's a big part of our industry. If you're on the business side, if you're trying to grow a business that employs a bunch of people that need you to do the next best step, you better understand the lay of the land. In our industry, the easy answer is no. I don't want to know about it. I'm just going to avoid it. All the people that are calling, all the emails, you just say no, and I'm going to go. It's easier to not know, but that's not wise to not know. The idea is you need to say yes to some of these invitations, and you need to start talking and understand what they're talking about. That's the best thing you can do.
Yeah, I completely agree. And as this grows, like I said, the buying power of the collective, just everything, the systems, we're going to be able to just be streamlined, right? And so
you get benefits cheaper. You got an HR team behind you. If you want health insurance for your guys, you're buying in a big group. You want supplies, you're buying in a big group. You want insurance, you're buying in a big group instead of out on your own. You got your own local agent, your own local person. There's another level of buying. That's how they make their money, right? That's how they make their money more than you could. And
I think it's, to be clear, that's if you want that, right? If you want to keep using your local guy, use your local guy, right? If you want to keep,
that's a great point.
Yeah, if you want to, you have a relationship with a vendor that you love, keep that relationship.
They're not forcing that. Let me just be clear, but there's options.
Yeah, it's what, I know, again, there's a lot of names that'll come out in the future, but I've got someone that is at the finish line right now that they're done, right? They don't want to be in the chimney business anymore. They are literally selling 100% of their business. They're taking a huge check, and then they're putting, another high-level employee to be the GM. And so if you want out, that's one. But the majority of the people that are doing this are looking to continue to run their company. They're just looking to have help, right? And so and have the cash flow, like you said, to do the things, to get the extra trucks, to run at the speed that you want to run at. But you can't currently run that way because of whatever financial or knowledge restrictions, or whatever those things are. So I would.
Even for me, so I'm 50, about to be 59. I know I don't look it. I know I'm 38.
Well, you're not on CPAP yet.
Yeah. Well, there's that. But I sold a big chunk of my company, but then I rolled a chunk of my ownership into the collective. So I sold one company to own part of a bigger amount. I'm also signed on to still run the company for a couple of years and maybe even a couple of years after that, but I've got to exit for myself. What works for me? I've been doing it 41 years. At some point, you got to put some things down. I remember somebody came to me not long ago. And they said, a lot of you guys are getting older, and who's going to teach us? Who's going to be the ones that do all the things you guys do? And I'm like, well, you'll find them. It's not like I'm going anywhere, but there needs to be, that next level people come up and start doing some of the things that we've done for a long time that we think helps the industry. But it's going to be a ripple effect. I was talking to Debbie Weedwald, and she's like, she's the president of NCSG, and she's like, well, how's this going to affect the guild? How's this going to affect this? Will this matter? Well, I said, well, the best thing you can do is use the guild as a best practice and let these private equity people know that this helps build companies. SureFire program, they really like the SureFire program if you're using it and it shows how to train people, scale people. This is very important for them to invest in you, and how to grow. Like if you got processes, sales processes, one of the reasons Tommy Mello got so much money is he had an unbelievable sales process, unbelievable training process, unbelievable marketing, and they gave him a number that is absolutely astounding, but he was doing all those things. It wasn't just his profit, it was his processes that he had in place and that he could proven, and he could rinse and repeat. And everybody's listening, do you have those? Can you point to your training process and go, man, I got a technician, I can take a guy from 0 to certified in 6 months, and he's this and he's that. Your sales process, yes, I've got this closing rate, this is how we do it, this is how we train on it. Those are the things that are get important for the people to look at you, and that you need to put in place whether you sell or not.
That's right.
Like if anybody's going to buy your business, unless you're just going to shut the keys, shut the door, let it go bye-bye, you want to build value, and we teach how to build value in these things. So you're getting paid today, but the idea is to get paid tomorrow, like you built something that has enterprise value.
Yeah, it's, trying to think of a way not to be rude here. You'd be kind of crazy not, and I know this is a little self-serving because it's SureFire, but to not, whether it's through us, build to sell or whatever, to at least have that conversation, right? You have to, it would be like, pretending the internet doesn't exist, or running your business without a CRM, or, cameras, no, we never used cameras before. We're not going to, this is such an event. Like this is like, we're going to look back, 5 years from now and remember when private equity talked to chimneys, and now there's, it's going to be the norm. And so, for all the laggers on the implementation, at least have a conversation. It doesn't have to be with us. Understand, again, like Mark said, if you are looking to have something that when you're done that has value, and not the assets that you have, which I promise you are not what you think they are. Your customer list is not worth as anything that you think.
Your trucks aren't worth anything.
Your trucks, your equipment, you're talking a couple $1,000s. We're talking millions. So the at least have that conversation so that when you see your competition doing things that you don't understand how they're doing, you at least understand it. And so.
Yeah, well, great stuff. So again, we didn't get questions. This was a listening night, and then we're going to have, we're posting this back on different places, but a couple things. If anything we said interests you about our program that we're going to be launching in August at my shop, go to the SureFireB2S.com. You can see everything that we're going to do. You can sign up. You can be part of this group that we're going to put together and teach on what to do. We're also going to get you an evaluation of your company. No pressure, but they're going to get you an evaluation of what you can sell for today. You may say, hey man, I'm ready. Or you can say, well, that's not quite enough. I wanted to be more. And they're going to say, do these things. I don't know what they are. Alan doesn't know what they are. They can look at your business and say, here's the things you need to do. You either need to get more revenue, you need to get more profit, you need to do some things, but they will pinpoint that. And then we're going to just talk to people who've been through it. Ellen Rohr makes finances fun and makes understanding your numbers fun. You'll understand how they're gauging you, how they're building it, and then also how to be a dynamic owner, how to be a person that they want to be in business with too, and they want to invest in you so you can do that. I've been in the business a long time, and and they invested in me for multiple reasons. My business was worth X, but me as a owner leader had another multiple on it. And same with like Anthony, because of who he is and what he has done, they lean in more. Being quiet, being in the background, your business is worth something. But if you're a leader that they can go, man, we want this person on the team because of who they are plus their business, like there's another level of value there that I didn't understand before. Now I do. And they can talk to you about what they're looking for. Because I gave them an offer. I said, well, I'm 58. By the time this thing goes, I'm 61, 62. What is it? I can just sell you the company. We'll figure that out. And like, oh, we don't want that. We want you to run. We just want to get behind you and just, we want to do that. And I will say one last thing in closing. It's been amazing. And I don't think there's a problem with me saying it, but there's a lot of people lining up to do this investment, sell part of their company, roll equity into a new company. This is a normal thing. But the Village Partners guys said, it is unbelievable what's happening in the chimney industry we've never seen before. Is that a lot of us owners, we're getting chunks of money, but we're spreading it out to our employees like they've never seen before. And I'm not going to say the number right now. At some point it's going to come out, but it's unbelievable in the millions of dollars that chimney company owners are giving to their employees out of their own personal sale that they don't have to do. Most owners sell the company, put it in their pocket, move on, and the employees are left. But the chimney industry is giving back to the employees and changing their lives. And it's absolutely amazing what's happening. Yeah, especially on the Village Partner side that I'm aware of. They might be happening in other groups too, but this group specifically is giving back to the employees and making some. I just did it last week. I made some really good, happy people last Friday. It was like life-changing stuff. So that's exciting. That's exciting to me. So
love it.
Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate you. I'll let you go. You got any last words for the group?
No, man, I think it's just exciting times, and it's just stay educated, whether or not you want to do it or not. I would just say be aware of what's going on, because life will pass you by real quick, and you'll be like, you're gonna wake up 5 years from now and like, what happened? So just get educated, and hopefully we can be a part of that education. But yeah, appreciate you as always, Mark.
You're so awesome, dude. I learn from you every time. And we always have funny stories too. So thank you for taking your time out this evening and being part of the show. Appreciate it.
Don't let me forget to tell the CPAP story next time. All right, we'll do that.
You know what? We haven't lost anybody. Let's tell the CPAP story to end the night. Let's do it.
Well, some of you guys know I went through like 3 or 4 months of I was down. I was down. I had double pneumonia, pleurisy, bronchitis. I had cracked ribs, the whole thing. For 3 months I could not work. I had to sit slept in a chair. It was bad. Couldn't breathe. Was like 30% lung capacity, blah, blah, blah. And so at this point now I'm at 55% lung capacity, but when they did the sleep study, they realized I had really bad, sleep apnea. And so I went to 2 short stories. So I went to they said I needed a sleep study. I failed miserably. And then I went to a class to learn how to use my CPAP. And there's this other younger lady that is in there. And so they adjust your CPAP to how much pressure comes in. And so I said, there's only me and her. I'll go ahead and start with her. And the doctor writes your prescription now, like how many events do you have in an hour? Which means how many times do you stop breathing in an hour? And so this lady was 7.5. I was like, okay. And so they adjusted hers, and they came over to mine, and they were like, what is your number? It was like 154. So as I stopped breathing 154 times an hour, and I'm doing the math. I'm like, that's like every 20 seconds. And so I was like, no wonder I'm always tired, right? So
wow.
Yeah, insane. So now I'm on the CPAP. I'm 1 to 5 events an hour. Everything's great. But I just got off this Viking cruise, which is they cater to an older audience. They're 75-year-old, have money, white, typically. It's like they've got this little niche, all English speaking. And so, I'll be 50. I'm like one of the youngest guys on the boat. And so with my lungs, some of the things they do, there's 200-300 stairs. Like we went to Dracula's castle, things like that, and I'm stopping every 30 stairs. Can't breathe. I'm hitting my inhaler, and there's these like little old ladies with their canes, like 85 years old, just lapping me. And I'm like, Jesus, I got a lifestyle change to make, right? And so we're sitting around. It's a small boat, less than 200 people, and so you get to know everybody pretty quick. And so I still have a little bit of a cigar habit, which is terrible with my lungs and all that stuff. So we got to talking to this couple. We become fast friends with them, and then I had this mark, from the CPAP, like it was early in the morning, and sometimes it takes a minute to go away. And it's like, oh, you have a CPAP? And I was like, yes. Like, what model do you have? And I was like, I got the ResMed Air Pro, And they're like, do you have the app? I was like, I do. It's like, what was your sleep score? And so I'm like pulling it up. I was like, oh man, I was like, my mask seal was only 7 out of 20. I said, but I slept for 5.5 hours. I only had one event. And then my wife, literally after the couple left, she goes, it was like 10 years ago, we were talking about clubbing and, doing things. And he goes, and now you're comparing CPAP scores on a boat, and I was like, man, life goes pretty quick. So
I got one CPAP story like that. We sail a bunch, and we sail with Brewer and Meredith, and we have the soot sailors. We go sailing. And early on, and we've been doing it like 14 years, early on, every night there was a party somewhere. And we get off the boat, we go into the party at the, wherever the ships are stopped that night, there's a party on the island. We go out and do that, drink, double buck, come back on the boat, still party. And then we noticed like one guy wasn't going and two guys wasn't going. And one time me and a couple guys went and the rest of the guys stayed back. And we get back to the boat, not late, like 10 o'clock. The boat was shut down, dark. We get in there and we just hear nothing but CPAPs going. It was like an infirmary. Like everybody was like on masks. And I'm like, what has happened to us? Like, we are old as hell going on here. But yeah, that's
so good. So good.
Getting old is real, man.
It's a real thing.
It happens. Yeah. Well, man, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being part of the night. I appreciate you.
Yep. We'll see you guys.
See you, man. All right, guys. Great night. Had a great audience throughout the night. I hope we did a good job for you guys. If there's anything that you want to talk about, or if you have questions, you can always email me, mark@ashbusters.net. And I'd be happy to help you any way I can. Our programs are always meant to help build your company. We do work on technical, no problem. We know technical inside and out. We also work to build your business for multiple reasons. And I hope you guys enjoy it. I'll be back next week, and we'll talk to you soon. See you. Bye.